Welcome to another edition of Teach the Geek Interviews. My name is Neil Thompson. I am the founder of Teach the Geek. It's an online platform for science and engineering professionals. Consider checking out the monthly membership called Teach the Geek to Speak Society. And you can learn more about it at teachthegeek.com. Again, that's teachthegeek.com. Today, my guest is Lennis Perez. And she worked as a process engineer, but now runs her own consultancy called Just Lennis LLC. And it's a company that provides stress management services to corporations and associations in STEM. In her business, she serves as a wellness engineer, corporate stress management consultant, public speaker and MC, certified meditation teacher, and she's also certified in plant-based nutrition. My God, what does she not do? I'm interested to learn more about what a wellness engineer is, where her interest in meditation came from, and how public speaking has benefited her business. Welcome to Teach the Geek Interviews, Lennis.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure being here, and what a wonderful introduction. I appreciate you putting everything together on my multi-passions. I definitely am a multi-passionate person for sure.
Yeah, multi-passionate, that's the way to describe it. So yes. From the bit of research I did on you, I saw that you got a degree in chemical engineering. What was the motivation to get that degree?
Yeah, so I decided to go for engineering for multiple reasons. I was good at math and science through high school. Growing up in Venezuela, I actually was surrounded by a lot of engineers. My dad, he was in the army, but he was also a civil engineer. My brother was going to mechanical engineering when I was about to graduate. So I figured, well, sounds like engineering is the path. But chemical engineering specifically was because of two reasons. Number one, I love chemistry, and especially organic chemistry. And number two, growing up in Venezuela, which is an oil-rich country, I would drive by refineries and think, what do I have to study to be in those plants? I was very curious about these giant structures, and that's what I found out, that chemical engineers worked at refineries and at different chemical plants. And I like chemistry much better than physics. So that was the path.
Okay. But I also noticed you got a master's too. So what was the motivation to even continue on from your undergrad?
Yeah, it was actually an opportunity that my college offered. I graduated from Manhattan College, and they had a program that was called the Seamless Program, which was during your senior year, if your grades were high and you wanted to continue studying, you could actually start taking some master classes, and then it will take you just one extra year to get your master's degree once you graduated from the bachelor's. The other reason behind it was because I wasn't sure at that point if I was going to go back to Venezuela. And the requirements to get a bachelor's degree in Venezuela is you have to do a thesis, and you actually have to take at least 5 years of college education. So being able to take these extra courses will actually allow me to work as a chemical engineer in Venezuela if I decided to go back. So it was a win-win situation for me to go for the master's.
Okay. So did you eventually go back to Venezuela, or did you stay in the US?
So I went back and I applied for jobs. I got one opportunity to participate in this kind of competition that a local company had, where they had about 20 engineers and then prove themselves for 6 months. And whoever made it through, they had 2 full-time positions for them. At that point, I didn't think that was the right fit for me. So I had an opportunity to actually get a sponsor here in the US, and I found a full-time job as a chemical engineer, no competition. So I figured that was an easier path to follow. So I actually have stayed in the US since I graduated.
Gotcha. So I mentioned in the intro that you worked as a process engineer. What does a process engineer do?
So for chemical engineers, because process engineering, I know, depending on the type of engineer you are, it may look slightly different, but for chemical engineers specifically, we are the ones that design the chemical processes for a specific product. So it usually deals with separation of chemicals, purification, or recovery of chemicals. So you have to go through different simulations. You use specific programs online. So you go through the simulations, you create material balance, and then you design the equipment that is required to make this final product. So that's what a process engineer does. I spent pretty much 12 years of my career just designing different chemical plants. It was really interesting. I worked on a project where we were taking the extracts of orange peels and actually purifying the different components that are used for flavors and fragrances all throughout different products in the US. So that was really cool.
Oh, wow. That does sound kind of cool.
Yeah.
What was, out of the, I guess, the jobs you did as a process engineer, what did you like most about it and what did you like least about it?
What I like most about it is when creating the flow sheets. I think just being able to put together the different steps that will get to the final results, that was pretty exciting for me. It got me in the zone. I was able to really look at the big picture and feel that I was accomplishing something. The part that I enjoyed the least was when we had to size the pressure relief valves and instruments, and also writing the operating manual for the customer. That was a painful process for sure.
Gotcha. So, I mean, I also mentioned in the intro that, I mean, you did work as a process engineer, but you eventually started your own business. What was the motivation for you starting your own business?
Like we talked at the beginning, I was very multi-passionate. So I wanted to try something different. There was a little bit of an entrepreneurial seed in my mind that I wanted to have, be my own boss, have flexibility and freedom. I didn't know what that looked like. So of course you get the comfortable job as an engineer, you earn money. That's pretty good to live a good life. But at the same time, I didn't feel as fulfilled doing engineering, specifically the work that I was doing. So I wanted to try something else because I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy working with people and helping with people. And when you work as a process engineer, most of the time you're just sitting in front of a computer and you interact with others, but it's not that much or that often. So I actually started with a food blog. That's how my company started. I started with a food blog and then a YouTube channel. And I wanted to make sure I had an LLC just to back me up in case somebody, tried to sue me because they tried to make my dish and they got sick. I got an allergic reaction. I didn't know what was going to happen there. So I did that for about 2 years. And the business has evolved as I have evolved as a human being in terms of the life experiences that I've had. So entrepreneurship, it's not an easy path, but when you have the passion, and as I recently heard, when your why is bigger than yourself, then you just keep on going. And that's pretty much what led me to create my company and find the path that work and align with myself.
Gotcha. At what point did you have the confidence to stop what you were doing as a process engineer and then start your own business?
So I was doing the side hustling for a long time. I had started the side hustling at the end of 2015, just getting curious about what a blog was, how did it work, how do I create a website, all those very basic things that I had no idea what it was all about. And then in 2016, I actually got laid off. And at that point, I said, well, I got a severance package. I had some savings. I was able to get unemployment. So let me figure out what I really want to do, because in the past few months, I have been having this nagging feeling of there's got to be more to life than just the 9 to 5, the get up, eat breakfast, get to work, then do your work, come back home, prep dinner, and repeat. So I felt that I was in this like hamster wheel. And this time off allowed me to explore. I went to a food bloggers conference, which was a lot more fun than the usual engineering conferences that I had been to, because these were people that were in the entrepreneurial world, that had their own businesses, that were impacting lives. And that just continued to feed my fire. I did end up going back to work, but I said, as an engineer, but I said, I want to do something different. I want to be able to interact more with clients directly. So I worked as an internal sales engineer for a few months, and then I was recruited to work as a product manager for a company in Europe to be in charge of North America and South America. And that gave me the capability of talking to people one-on-one, going to companies and have presentations on the different technologies that we were able to offer from this company. And at the same time, I continued to explore this entrepreneurial side. I was trying to narrow down what I wanted to do. At that point, I realized that food blogging or making recipes wasn't necessarily my passion. I love to eat and I love to cook, but then having to measure everything and explain it to me it just became tedious. So I realized I had other gifts that I could share from my own personal experience. And that's kind of how it evolved until I created enough passive income through my YouTube channel, through some online courses, through my investments, where I said, I've replaced at least 70% of my salary as an engineer. I can now make the jump and go full-time into my business.
Gotcha. I mentioned in the intro that you're a wellness engineer. I have no clue what that means. What's a wellness engineer?
So wellness engineer, it's pretty much a phrase I coined myself because I was trying to figure out what title to give myself. And the usual titles of being a founder or being a president or being a CEO or being an owner didn't sound exactly right for the work that I'm trying to do. Because as an engineer, we wear that badge of I'm an engineer. I've worked as an engineer. We're problem solvers. We can figure things out. So, but I was also really involved in the well-being, wellness side on my own business, trying to understand how we deal with stress, how to improve our physical health, how to improve our mental health. So what ultimately came to mind was, well, I'm a wellness engineer, which means I help people build their overall well-being from within, like problem solve, figure out, like get the raw data. Who are you? What are the things that are blocking you? And then how can we build your wellness from within, like taking those data and taking those steps. So it's creating a process that is individualized because each one of us has our own uniqueness. So as a wellness engineer, I pretty much say that I merge your mind, your body, and your spirit from a very left brain oriented side, and using science-backed tools that I've learned through my own experience in the last 7+ years that I've been on this journey to make your well-being a priority. So that's what I help you with.
Okay. And then also I had mentioned the meditation in the intro. When did you become interested in meditation and how has it benefited you?
So I became a meditator in 2013. I had some interest in it because I had been listening to some podcasts and had heard people that I admire that they practice meditation. So being curious about it, I actually ended up getting an email from the Chopra Center, where Oprah and Chopra were running a 21-day meditation experience. So I said, hey, this is my gateway. Let me figure out how this works. And I started the program in 2013 because I had gone through some very difficult times, family-wise. My dad had been in the hospital for 45 days. We didn't know what was wrong with him. He had some very close to death experiences, I must say. So it was a very intense high stress time because I was working full time at the time. I was the translator for them because my mom and my dad don't really speak English, and he was hospitalized in New Jersey. So I was a translator dealing with all the medical stuff for them or for him, and then working full time. And on top of that, we were in the middle of renovating our home hands on. Like, I'm coming home and putting tiles and, painting walls and doing all these different things. So after that period passed, I said, I need to figure out how to de-stress or how to manage my stress a little bit better, because it was overwhelming. I was burned out. I was done. And with this 21-day meditation experience, I think I did 3 days, and I didn't feel that I was doing it right. It just didn't feel good. I was up in my head. I wasn't comfortable, but I kept on going because I kept hearing the benefits of it. And at some point through the years, I kept registering for all the different 21-day meditation experience they had. I would look at YouTube videos, and I will start getting these glimpses of just peace and calm, where my mind will finally just settle. And even if it was just for 2 seconds or 3 seconds, that just felt good. So I wanted to repeat that over and over again. So I made a promise to myself in 2017 to become a daily meditator. So I did start meditating daily, even if it was for 5 minutes. And then by 2020, COVID comes, we're all locked in our houses. We are trying to figure out what the hell is going on in the world. And I get another email from the Chopra Center saying, hey, you want to become a meditation teacher? And I mentioned earlier, I love helping people. And I saw how meditation had helped me through the difficult periods. So now I really wanted to share that experience with others as well.
I tried meditating once. I closed my eyes and I eventually fell asleep. I guess I went a little too deep.
Well, sleep is actually a form of meditation too. And we tend to judge our experiences, but the whole idea of meditation is bringing you to a place of rest. It's just getting your mind to rest. And when do we get our minds to rest? Typically when we sleep, because otherwise during our waking hours and during our day-to-day, our minds are just constantly going. So when you fall asleep, it's because that's what your body needs. And as a meditator, I also often have had the moments where I do fall asleep, or I notice myself falling asleep and I realize, okay, maybe I need to actually prioritize sleep during my day-to-day in the last few days, just to see if that helps me stay awake during meditation.
Okay. And here I was thinking the whole time that I was failing in meditation because I kept falling asleep. It turns out I was just doing it really well.
Yes, you did.
Wonderful. Great for me. So at what point did you realize, because I from listening to you speak, I heard that you worked in sales for a bit. You also did product management, but I'm curious, when did you realize that public speaking or just being able to present in front of people could be a benefit to you?
Oh, I realized that, I will say, within the first 5 years of my career as an engineer. I will see colleagues get up and present, the different processes to clients, or going through the process flow sheets description, and just being able to explain fluently what was going on. I figure, well, I definitely want to feel confident when I'm doing that. So what I did is, and two things, I'm not a native English speaker. So that's the other part where I wanted to improve how I was able to present and pronunciate my words so people could understand me as well, reduce my accent. So I actually joined Toastmasters. I think it was the third year while I was after school, when I was working as an engineer. And Toastmasters was a fantastic organization to join, to be able to get the confidence of presenting in front of people, because everybody's there with the same goal, just becoming a better presenter, being able to share ideas. And also it taught me so many things about timing. When you want to get a point across, right? They give you time frames, and you have to really be on point. And the feedback was fantastic because it was constructive feedback. I felt supported. I didn't really feel judged. The biggest judge was myself against myself. So I think just being able to work with people that have similar goals, that may not be engineers, but are also willing to get up there on the podium and speak was really helpful for me to be confident to then, whenever the opportunity came up to present to clients or to speak with, I was reporting directly to the CEO in the last job that I had. And to be able to do a good job when I was speaking and sharing ideas.
Absolutely. I was a member of Toastmasters too, and the idea of being timely when it comes to giving presentations wasn't really something that I thought about all that much before Toastmasters, but since then I'm a big stickler when it comes to timing. I really, especially if you're presenting in front of people that are important people, VIP type people, management type people. These are busy people, so you definitely don't want to waste their time, and you want to be as efficient with your presentations as possible. I certainly agree with you. When it comes to the presentations that you give, do you have a process for putting them together? And if so, what is it?
It depends on what presentation I'm doing. So for example, talking to you today, I just didn't necessarily have a script in mind or prepare something specific, because I knew it was going to be an easy flowing conversation, just sharing stories and sharing my experience. But if I want to get some point across, for example, I've done some public speaking events where there's a specific, I have 20 minutes to talk in front of this audience. What do I really want my message to be? And how can I build around that key messaging, stories or activities that will keep people engaged? So I will try to look at the big picture first. For my YouTube channel, for example, the process is very specific. I have a script that I follow, and I try to remember the key points. But then when I'm actually recording the videos, I just let myself flow, keeping in mind that I have these 3 main ideas that I want the viewer to come away with. So that's what I try to do. And then the other thing that I think is very important when I'm talking about a specific subject is just to bring a closing to that subject, to have kind of a refresher. Is like, we've spoken about all these different things. These are the takeaways, and just repeat that at the end, so it stays fresh on the listeners and the viewer's mind.
Yeah, that's a great point, Lennis. Having takeaways at the end, so that essentially what you want people to get out of the presentation, hopefully they get out of it. Or no, hopefully they didn't zone out during the presentation, but in the event that they did, hey, here are the takeaways in the event that you didn't listen beforehand.
Exactly.
Nice. So another question. So when it comes to presentations, do you ever get nervous before them? And if so, how do you deal with your nerves?
Depending on who I'm presenting with, I will say the first few presentations that I did in front of a live audience, or even when I do some MC work, because I just enjoy going to conferences and just being on stage, but I still get nervous. So I think just getting centered like a few minutes before I jump in is just taking some deep breaths and saying, I got this, it's all going to be okay. And remember, the audience has no idea what you're going to be talking about. They don't know your script. They don't know if you make a mistake. So it's all good. You're safe, and they want you to succeed. That's the other thing that helps my nerves, just to remember that people are there to learn, and they don't want to see you failing. They actually want to see you succeed and do a good job and come away with the idea. So that really helps. And I think now that I've learned a lot more about meditation, it's just closing my eyes for a few minutes and just taking some deep breath and know that I'm supported and guided, and I'm going to do a good job. Just helps the butterflies. They don't go away until a few minutes into whatever speech I'm doing or presentation I'm doing, but I just know that it's part of the experience. So practicing is also key to lower your nerves. Just practice, practice, practice. Listen, I record myself and then I listen to myself over and over and over again. So it's almost like learning a song. That also helps a lot calm the nerves before I get on stage.
You've provided some great tips, Lennis, and I've just been jotting down a number of them. So deep breathing is really good. I like that one. Then you also mentioned one about the takeaways at the end. I really like that one too. And then also the timing, just making sure that you don't go over time. That's actually a pain to me when people do that. You're given 15 minutes and they go 20. It's like, come on, man. You knew it was 15. Get with it. And then I like meditation. I mean, I mentioned earlier about my experiences with meditation, and it might be limited, but I certainly have a lot of experience with visualization. So before I go on stage and to present in front of somebody, to present in front of people, I visualize how I want things to go, and I visualize things going well. And I think that when you do that, you're in a much better mind space to then go up there and then be relaxed, and then hopefully things do go well. I mean, if you think things are going to go poorly, then there's a lot bigger probability that they will. So I'm a big fan of visualization. And then practice. And another thing that you mentioned was recording yourself. I think that's a big, I guess, fear, maybe fear is not the right word, but something that people are hesitant to do because they don't want to see themselves. Maybe they don't like the sound of their voice. But recording yourself to be able to see what you did well and what you can improve on, and it's so important. So if you don't do that, then you have to rely on memory to recall what you did well and then what you did, those you can improve on. And if you're like me, I have a poor memory, so I'm not going to remember. So I got to record it.
Yes.
This has been great talking to you, Lennis. Thank you so much for being a guest. How can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, so they can definitely follow me on Instagram at Lennis Perez _. I'm very active on Instagram. My YouTube channel, Lennis Perez TV. Feel free to subscribe. I've been working on some new content. I haven't posted it yet, but it will be coming up towards the end of the year. And my website, lennisperez.com. You can just get in touch with me through those 3 platforms. And I think I'm very accessible. What I tell people is like, remember, I'm a human behind this screen or behind this voice that you hear on a podcast. I'm still a human being, and I appreciate when people reach out and they have questions or they just want to get in touch. It really brings me joy. So
wonderful. Well, everybody, that marks the end of another edition of Teach the Geek Interviews. My name is Neil Thompson, founder of Teach the Geek. It's an online platform for science and engineering professionals. Consider checking out the monthly membership if you want ongoing support in your public speaking journey. It's called Teach the Geek to Speak Society, and you can learn more about it at teachthegeek.com. Again, that's teachthegeek.com. Until next time, take care and stay safe. Thank you, Lennis.
Thank you.